Today we're going to be making spaghetti carbonara with a slight twist. Let me introduce you to the ingredients. First of all, we have olive oil, frozen defrosted garlic, butter, pepper, 3 eggs, bacon sliced into 1 centimetre squares, approximately, Parmesan cheese, whole wheat pasta, water, frozen green peas, and asparagus. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is, with our pasta, snap the pasta in half and layer in 2 directions. So we have an underlayer in one direction and an overlayer in the other direction. We now want to add our water. So we need to set the lid to closed. Closed. And we want manual and 7 minutes. Now meanwhile, whilst we're waiting for the pasta to cook, there are 2 ways we can cook the veggies. So we can cook the pasta and cook the carbonara and place it on a plate ready to go. We can then steam our veggies, or alternatively, using a second pressure cooker, we can steam these simultaneously at the same time. Now I'm going to choose to use the second pressure cooker and steam them at the same time, and this is going to be on the side, and it should be ready at the same time the main meal is ready. Now in order to do this, we're going to need a vegetable steamer basket, approximately 1 cup of water. Place in our 1 cup of water, with our steamer basket. We want to place our peas, along with our asparagus, directly into the steamer basket. We can then place the lid on, make sure it sets a lock, and we want to select manual 2 minutes. Now in order to drain the pasta, we're going to want 2 things. One is a bowl in order to drain the pasta into, and to drain the pasta we're going to want a colander. We are going to need to keep approximately half a cup of pasta water, maybe slightly more, and that will be adding straight back into the pasta later on in the recipe. The vegetable countdown time has just begun, so that is 2 minutes. Now whilst we're waiting for the dish, we can begin to mix the eggs with the Parmesan cheese. So first of all, we want to place in the eggs, and either using a fork or a whisk, you want to give them a stir and whisk them. So the vegetable timer is complete. We can now press stop and depressurize. Now, what I would suggest is using a funnel we can allow that to depressurise. So that can sit there until the meal's ready, whilst we go back to the eggs. We now want to add the parmesan. Now this is where you may find a fork to be beneficial. So we can just mix that, turn it over, combining the egg with the cheese. Now, I haven't included this on the recipe. However, if you wish to, you can add herbs, things like oregano, directly into the mixture, depending on your taste and your preference. So that is now ready to add. So the pasta time is complete. We're going to leave it for 1 minute to naturally release its pressure. That's a natural pressure release. So the timer on the countdown has reached 1 minute. We can now release the pressure and switch off the cooker. So now the cooker's depressurized, we can open the lid. Now for the next part, we have two options. We can either use an ordinary tea towel, or if you'd like extra dexterity, silicone heat-proof gloves. And all we need to do now is simply pour the pasta water through the colander . Now for a moment we can leave our pasta just on the cooker itself. Now we need approximately half a cup of pasta water as a minimum. You can use more, it depends on how thick you want the consistency to be. So here we have our measuring cups. We can simply use the half, the one. Now I'm going to go with approximately 3/4. Pasta water, and the rest we can pour away. So once we've poured the water away, we can add the pasta in the colander back into the bowl. And for the next part, we're going to do some frying. We're going to want to select the brown sauté option. Now you can see on the status bar, it's already halfway up to temperature due to the previous cook. And once it's up to halfway, we can add the oil, as that will begin to heat also. At this stage, we also want to add half of the butter. Now we can hear it's beginning to fry. We can add the garlic. And give that a stir. Now there are two options for cooking the bacon. We can either add the bacon at this stage, or if you're not a fan of the juice that the bacon creates, we can cook the bacon separately before, after adding the olive oil. We can then remove the juice, add more olive oil, and continue the process of adding the garlic, and continue the process of adding the butter. However, I'm going to add the bacon now. as I believe the more juices, the more flavour and the more succulent the dish will be. Now we want to keep stirring the bacon to make sure that as we cut it previously in one piece, we're separating the slices and we're constantly turning it over so the heat can distribute evenly. At this stage we can add our pepper. It also depends on how well cooked you want your bacon, whether you want it rare, medium, well done, obviously making sure it's cooked, but at the same time, each of which will provide a different taste, a different texture and a different experience with the meal. So that all depends on your preference. When you're satisfied with when the bacon's cooked, you can then begin the next step. Now personally I prefer the bacon to be of a slightly softer consistency, and for that reason I'm going to begin the next step. So now we're ready to add the pasta. And we want to mix that and coat that in the bacon juice. Once the pasta is nicely coated in the bacon and it's picked up the oils, the flavours and the aromas, we can now add the cheese and the egg mixture. It's at this point we want to be on hand with our butter and our water. So we want to add our water. And our butter. We now want to switch off the crock pot. Now a lot of people may differ on whether they like to add cream or not. If you like cream in your dishes, then add some cream. If you don't, then just leave it out, it's not a problem. Food is all about how you interpret it and what you like, so trying to tailor it to what you like is the key. So now we just need to get the plates and everything ready. So for the next part of this, we just need to serve up the veg. Now, using our heat-proof glove, we can hold the steamer and serve the veg directly onto the meals. And then add our asparagus. Now for the taste test. The flavour is absolutely astounding. The bacon, the garlic, the cheese, they combine perfectly to give you a creamy texture. And a little bit of saltiness. The pasta's perfectly cooked, absolutely spot on. The bacon texture is just to my liking. The peas help give it a perfect little pop of colour, add a whole load of nutrition, and just add an extra layer to the meal. And the flavour of the asparagus just perfectly complements the dish. Absolutely incredible. It adds an element of sophistication, a vibrance of colour, and a whole load of nutrition into the meal as well. The asparagus is a little softer than I might like, but given the scenario, I think everything's come together really well. And all I would have to do is adjust the timings ever so slightly to compensate for the difference. I hope you've enjoyed making the meal as much as I've enjoyed making the meal, and I hope you'll enjoy eating the food as much as I'll enjoy eating the food. Anything you may wish to know in the recipe for today will be in the description box below the video. That includes equipment used in today's video and the recipe, as well as the method in order to make the recipe. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next one.